Hello and welcome back to Dark Mondays with Kevin Bozeman on a Tuesday. I'm Kevin Bozeman and I'm so happy to be back. I had to take an unexpected break last week to deal with some personal matters, and I had a little technological challenge. My recording habit for the introduction and closing has so far been to record on Monday morning, partly to be able to reflect on the entirety of the week, and also partly procrastination, because I've done enough episodes at this point to realize waiting until Monday morning to record really means I end up recording midday Monday, which means I'm editing late afternoon, which means I'm publishing the episode Monday evening, which I guess is okay, but also not really for me. Full transparency, I'm a procrastinator. You listen and you don't judge. I've been working on the habit of procrastination for a while, and sometimes I'm victorious, and then there are the times when I struggle. Dark Mondays has been one of those times, and I'm sure if I was still in therapy, my therapist would be leading me into an investigation about follow through or commitment or fear of failure or worthiness or some combination of all of them and probably more. So, this episode was supposed to drop on Monday, December 15th. I was in my hometown the weekend before working, and I mistakenly thought I'd have more free time while I was there than I did. Really, I thought I'd have more energy than I did. And then I was supposed to fly back to New York City that Sunday and had planned to record when I got in, but I missed my flight, had to stay an extra night, and took the first direct flight out on Monday, which wasn't until late Monday afternoon. And that flight was delayed, which is the whole reason I missed my flight on Sunday. Long story. And this is where things really took a turn. I had gotten some wonderful feedback from a listener about part one of my conversation with Saycon Sengbloh about editing. So, as I was finishing up my edits on part two of the conversation, tightening it up, my editing software crashed and deleted all my edits. And I was at the end of the edit, and it was already time to publish, of course. Thank goodness the raw materials were not lost, but I had to do the edits all over. And here we are, releasing the episode a week later on Tuesday. But the edit is good, and the conversation with Saycon is really good. She's such a star. Now, I am going to take a planned break from recording next week for the holidays, so there won't be an episode next week, but I'll be back on Monday, January 5th. Here's part two of my conversation with Saycon Sengbloh. We pick up the conversation with me asking Saycon about her talent agent. The first voice you'll hear is hers. Enjoy.
That's a good question. I think I dropped my agent during Motown. The agent that I had at that time. It was like a coup. Like this new guy bought into the agency and everybody changed. I remember I had a surgery at that time. And the new guy who bought the agency, he came to see Motown and he was like, hey, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. He's like, oh, you were great in the show. And I was like, yeah. I said, I have to take a little time off. I have this surgery. And he was like, yeah. So are you coming in the office to sign your new contracts or da-da-da? And I was just like, he just had dollar signs in his eyes. He literally ignored what I said.
Yeah.
And I let them go that next week. And they had let go of my main point person, the woman that had been with me the whole time. They had let her go. So I was just like, let me just blow this popsicle stand. So I left them. And then, so the agency that I ended up joining with, I've been with them since then. And then I've had several managers. It's an interest. We could do a whole podcast topic on managers and agents and lawyers. Oh my. You know what I mean?
That's when you come back to Dark Mondays.
We'll come back and we do that because there's so many ups and downs about how you put your team together. The agent that I've been with since Holla If You Hear Me Motown transition, they've been really, really good to me. Yeah, they've been really good.
So I feel like you kind of have like this history of playing characters that maybe weren't first envisioned for a Black actress. So you have in season 6, you had 5 episodes playing FBI director Angela Webster on Scandal.
Yes.
And I don't think we've ever had a Black female head of the FBI. Shonda Rhimes said, "We having a Black female head of the FBI." I love that.
Yeah, yeah, so she could throw me in the bed with the president, honey. They threw me in the bed.
Those scenes of you in the bed with the president, of you going head to head with Olivia, so good.
Yeah, I like how they put it together like we were old college buddies, and then it was like, "Well, girl, you're not dating him anymore? Well, I mean, I guess, he wants to have more."
There was a lot of shade between the 2 of you. So good. Was that fun?
It was fun, but Imma tell you, I was so nervous. I was so nervous, like, I had to, like, really pretend. That was one of those examples where, I think my friend Christine, she'll say that, like, "Do it. You could be scared, but do it anyway. Do it scared." Like, I was doing that scared. Like, those people had been doing that show for so long, so they just knew everywhere to go. You get there and you're like, "Oh my god, the Oval Office, oh, the presidential balcony." Like, everything was so official looking, and then you're playing some of the most powerful people in the world. Like, even though we're not the real versions, we're portraying really powerful, confident people. And so to be there and to be like, "Oh my god, I'm about to kiss Tony Goldwyn. Oh my god, I'm supposed to drink wine with Kerry Washington," and Kerry Washington is known for wine and popcorn. Like, that was the thing. Like, that
Mhm.
was one of those early shows where people were tweeting during the show as people were like doing their social media mashup. Like, they're watching the show and they're posting at the same time. And like, oh my God, I had to really find some kind of confidence. Like, I had some imposter syndrome that was kind of going on a little bit during the time that I was doing that because I wasn't an LA girl. I have not been an LA girl. I've always been East Coast,
Mhm.
either down south or New York, East Coast. And so, I went out to LA already with the job. I booked that job, I auditioned for it. That's the other thing. I auditioned for that show in New York, and then I went to go sing at a gala in DC. And then my manager called me at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I'm answering the phone. He's like, Saycon, this was like a Monday. He was like, you need to be in LA for a fitting on Wednesday. You got the part. Now, the audition, similar to like a lot of sci-fi shows, you had fake sides and stuff, fake lines. I didn't know who the characters were that I was talking to. So I come to find out that the scenes were with Kerry Washington and with Tony Goldwyn. I was like, oh my God. Had I been auditioning with the lines, I would have been working through that sort of, oh, what if I work with this person? What if but none of that had been a reality. So I had to like adjust all of that reality really quickly over like a 2-day, not like a day and a half really, because I had to get back to New York on Tuesday and then fly out on Wednesday morning. So that was crazy.
Wow. Wow. Well, whatever imposter syndrome was going on, we did not see it. You were absolutely incredible as FBI Director Angela Webster. And
Thank
it was I was like, I remember when you came on, I was like, "Saycon!" Like I was so excited. I remember like you on the show, Norm Lewis on the show, like just
you.
having New York theater, Broadway actors on the show. It was very exciting. And people that I knew.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, whenever you see, like, I'll see LaChance pop up on something, like, when you see those good old New York actors pop up on something, it's like, yes.
Yeah, like I just saw LaShawne's in, the Spike
The new
Lee
Spike Lee.
movie.
I'm so glad you said that, maybe I'll watch that tonight. Maybe I'll watch that tonight. I need to, I still didn't see that. I went to Cannes Film Festival the day after they showed it at Cannes. So when I got there, I stayed with Rose and Ernest Dickerson. The movie that I did during the time that right after Eclipsed off Broadway is called Double Play, and it was directed by Ernest Dickerson. And so we got a chance to go to Cannes, and they were showing the new Spike Lee, and it was like a whole big thing, and they did all the red carpet, and it was so exciting. And then I got there like literally the next day, but yeah, like just honestly, any kind of 6 degrees of separation from anything, I just love it so much.
Yes, I love that, I love that. It's very inspiring to see the people that you know and the people that you respect, just doing their thing,
Yeah, yeah,
doing their
yeah.
thing. So you played FBI Director Angela Webster on
Yes.
Scandal, you played Mimi in Rent, you played Elphaba in Wicked, and I
Mhm.
would even say that Your character, yes, your character in On the Wonder Years, Lillian Williams.
Yeah,
Uh, these are kind of like characters that we don't normally see black actresses in, even though like The Wonder Years is a remake of the original Wonder Years.
but the whole family was not black, so it was like, we got a black family, yeah.
What is it? But even with that, you were the black actress that was cast in the role. And I feel like you kind of have this track record of being cast in these spaces where you, a black actress, would not normally be cast. So,
Mhm.
what do you think it is about you that has gotten you into those roles?
That was a good question. Nobody ever asked me that. People always comment on, they'll say, "Wow, you were the first black girl to do this," or like, even with Mimi, like I was just a darker skinned woman, and I was also a more voluptuous. A lot of the Mimis were like really tiny. Oh, I will say that when I played, every one of those roles felt very natural to me. It felt very natural. Felt like I'll tell you what, when I auditioned for Elphaba, um, there was another audition that I was for another show. I flew up to New York. I was living in Georgia at the time. I flew up to New York, and before I left, my agents were like, we'll focus on this one, and maybe if you can learn a song or two for Wicked. And when I started looking at the Wicked music, and then I was looking at the music for this other thing, which who knows what the hell that was. I was like, I don't even want to audition for that. And my agents were looking at me like, no, no, catastrophe. No, 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 no. Make your trip worth it. Audition for everything. I said, either I'm going to learn all 4 of these Wicked songs and do them well, or I'm like, I can't, it's too much material and I'm leaving on Tuesday or whatever day it was. And they were like, we don't think you should do that, but do what you think is best. And I remember I was driving in my car and I was just listening to Adina Menzel, and I just was like, I could get chills right now. I was like, I can do this. I'm like, I can do this. Yeah, bump that other show. Even to this day, I don't even remember what that other show was. I don't even remember what it was. But Telsey Casting, Bernard Telsey Casting, they cast me my first chunk of shows and tours they cast me in, from Rent to Aida to Color Purple to Wicked. They were very huge part in my career. And even my first agent that I got, she used to be at Telsey Casting. She broke off. This was back in the day, honey. I had some kind of way I got on a phone call with Bernie Telsey. Now he's super, Bernie Telsey. But at the time, I remember calling him and saying, "Hey, can you give me some advice on getting an agent?" And he was telling me, Lori Swift was here and she just left and she's over at this agency. Maybe you want to go over there. And like he gave me advice to get an agent, and that's what I did.
Wow.
And because every time I auditioned before, I was going to these open calls, and the casting, they would just call me direct.
Yeah.
They would call me because I had gone to this big open call for Rent before, and then I was just on their list. So they would just call me. And I was almost Nala, but I was foiled. I don't know who did what, but I was on my second or third Aida contract. I think I did 4 contracts with Aida. I did the tour, and then I did 3 more years with Broadway, or 2.5 years, something like that. Right before time to renew, I got a call because that was a different casting. Bernie Telsey was doing the other Disney, but
It was Mark Brandon. Mark Brandon was doing
it was
Thank you.
Lion Kings. They were like, "Hey, come in for Nala." So I went in. Awesome audition. The Shadowland, the leaves have fallen. The Shadowland, this was our home. Oh my God. I ate, okay, as the kids would say, I ate that Shadowland. When I tell you that Friday, I got a call that was like, "It's time for you to renew your AIDA contract. We need you to come in and renew your AIDA contract. We need you to renew." I was like, okay. So I went and signed it. And then the next week, somebody called me from thing. They were like, "Did you just sign with?" And so I stayed with AIDA.
And you didn't have an agent at the time. You were doing it on your own.
I feel like this was in between that time that I was asking Telsey, "Hey, can you help me with getting an agent?" or something like that. It was something like that. I did the national tour of Rent with my Georgia. I had a Georgia agent so I went to high school with Kenan Thompson. Kenan had hooked me up with my very first agent. Kenan was like, "Why don't you try my agent?" So by this time, I'm still she helped me a little bit, but so I think she got like 5% commission for helping me, but she was a TV film commercial agent in Atlanta. She wasn't a Broadway agent. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I believe I came to New York as the standby of Aida with no agent.
Which is incredible.
Incredible.
Which is incredible.
The fact that you were
Incredible.
getting into those rooms with no agent is incredible.
With no agent.
I would say Bernard Telsey, they were very good to me back in the day. Them and Tara Rubin, I felt like they would just call me directly.
Yes.
Even I had an agent, but I would say my agent was doing absolutely nothing for me. I booked like 5 shows on my own because the casting directors would call
Will
me.
call you directly.
Yeah, I would call them. I'd be like, "Oh, I see an audition for, such and such is coming up. Can you get me in?" And they would, I would bypass all of the mini auditions that you were up.
'Cause you had to put you in their mind. You know, word of mouth is something else. I tell you that. When people know you to have a good, kind, warm spirit and or they know you to be really talented and know that you're gonna be somebody they can count on to do the show, you're not gonna be out there pissy drunk and not know
Yep,
your lines. You know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you something funny. I'm weird with lines. I'm terrible in rehearsal. I can be really terrible at rehearsal. People be scared. They be scared because I'm
me
all
too.
over the place. You the same way? But when it's time to hit, I'm hitting. But I was scared of hell as a director, the choreographer, like, what is she doing? But when it's time to hit, a rehearsal is rehearsal. I be a mess in rehearsal.
Exactly, rehearsal is rehearsal. I got a phone call from the musical director for Shrek the Musical, the tour,
Oh.
because I had worked with him on the Lion King tour.
Mhm.
And he sent me a Facebook message. He said, "Are you interested and are you available? We're looking for a donkey understudy."
Okay.
And I said, "Yes, absolutely." They sent me all of the donkey material. I go in, I auditioned in front of, and this was like a final callback. I feel
Mhm.
like maybe they had lost someone because the entire, creative team was there, the producers were there, everything.
Whew.
Did
Those
the
are high
audition.
pressure joints.
Going there, I didn't know that until I got in the room.
That
Didn't even
everybody was gonna be there. You're thinking it's the casting audition.
Yeah. So, did the audition, got home, and had the call that I had booked the show. So in rehearsal, the choreographer, and I can't think of the choreographer's name right now, I'm so sorry, but, he at one point, he pulled me aside and he was like, "I'm worried about you." And I said, "Why?" He's like, "Because you're not getting the choreography." And I was like, "It's rehearsal."
Yeah, don't worry about me. I promise you it's
I
gonna
was like,
hit.
"I'll be fine."
It's
But
gonna
then
hit.
it
Right.
felt terrible because I'm like, I'm like a dancer, and
Yeah.
I can sing and act, and I was like, "I'm not getting the choreography." So then I go home and and I'm not one of those people. When I leave rehearsal, I'm done. Like, I don't go home and work on things.
Right. You don't like to work at home.
So I'm at home working on the choreography. I get it down. We're on tour, we're performing, and you know how the dance captains will go around in the dressing room and they're giving notes?
Yes.
I
Yes.
never, ever, ever got a note. Never got a note. And months go by, and I pulled one of the dance captains aside and I said, "You never give me a note." He said, "You never mess up." He's like, "If you mess up, Imma give you a note." And I was like, "Okay,
Voila.
voila."
You know what
Yes.
I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Rehearsals can be rough.
Yeah. During Eclipse, I had to do this Liberian accent, and my character is like the dorm mother. Like, I'm like, if all the other girls are like 17, 18, 19, my character's like 25. I've been there the longest. So everything I'm doing, I'm like making fufu. I'm braiding hair. I'm rearranging clothes. I'm folding clothes. I'm hiding girl. Like, I had so many props.
So much business.
So
Yeah,
much business. So I got
yeah.
all this business, and then I'm memorizing lines, and then I'm layering a Liberian accent. And the lines were written in the accent. In your head, you know you were able to tell me,
Mm.
pass me the like. I'm like, and I'm already like I say, I look terrible in rehearsal. Let's just say. So layer that on. They were looking like, but when I tell you, honey, when I hit, it hits. You know.
Well, obviously, because you got the Tony nomination and all of the other nominations and wins, you
Yes.
pulled it together,
Yes, I put it together. You know.
and that's what rehearsal is for.
Yeah, you know, I make a comparison. I compare myself to like baby. You know, there's babies that are. You have the babies that go goo goo gaga, and
Mhm.
then they go 1, 2, 3, and then they go, "Mommy, milk, please." I'm like goo goo gaga, goo goo gaga, goo goo gaga. Mother, I would like a glass of water with a sprig of lemon, please. Like, I don't really. Not in between. There's no in between. It's just gobbledygook, and then it's like accent, lines, movement, stage business, choreography, everything all hits and it all melds together at the same time. Whereas I've
Yeah.
seen some people, they're working and they don't have any accent the whole time.
Yeah.
Where they memorize all their lines, but like they can't pick up the choreography. Like
Right.
people have different stages, and I'm just like gobbledygook. And then when I hit, it hits. You
Which
know,
I'm sure probably feels bad to work
it's
like
really
that.
weird. It feels. I think it feels. It doesn't necessarily feel that bad to me, but to a person on the outside, they're like, "What is going on?" You know what I mean? Like I think they're
Yeah.
afraid that you're not gonna. You know?
Now, did you feel like though that you were maybe letting down your cast, or
No, because I know me.
you were like, "This is my process. I'm gonna be fine."
Yeah, I know me.
Okay.
And let's be real, like I was the one who was actually had a true attachment connection to a Liberian accent. You know what I'm saying? Or a
Mhm.
Liberian dialect. Or they call it a colloqua, the Liberian colloqua. So like I had to actually release what I'm hearing around me. It's an interesting dynamic to feel that and be and not be like perfect in rehearsal, but be knowing what it really should sound like, but hearing all the differences you're surrounded by. And then we had a dialect coach who was working with us, and she was getting us all in the similar syntax. And then we had to go back and remove a lot of it because the audience couldn't understand it, because you just can't be fully authentic, in that kind of world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
You have to bring some of it to the audience. You can't expect the audience to come and get everything. Even when Denzel Washington came to see the show, he came to see us when we were off Broadway. He was like, I understand what some of y'all was saying, And so, we took notes and we had to adjust, you know what I mean? So for me, I usually feel fine. I kind of will give people a little you literally hear the wrong words coming out of my brain will grab words from a whole nother paragraph and it's so crazy. You know what I mean? But like I said, when it hits, it hits. And it hit.
Let's transition to Wicked. Now, the word on the street, there's a mythology about you, which is that they would not see you for Wicked until you hired a makeup artist and sent them a picture. But then I've also heard that you auditioned for Wicked and they flew you up for a makeup test. So what's the real story?
So the first thing is definitely not true. They were Chelsea casting, they'd be like, we want to see you for Wicked. Period. There was no concern, no question. I, however, as a Black woman, was like, I know Chelsea can see it, but can the company of Wicked see it? Can their director, can their producer, can they individually as a company see it? And so I wanted to up my chances. And so on my own, I decided to do a makeup test of my own. I did my own makeup. I did a photo shoot. Yes. And the photographer, I'm forgetting his name right now. He's passed away now. But the photographer who did the shoot with me, we did this great little shoot, and then I had it on like a CD-ROM or something, or like a disc.
Mhm.
This was back in the day, right? So they did fly me in town to do a makeup test because they were like, we don't know what it looks like. And can I tell you, on the day, it was just a regular 2-show Wednesday. And I believe that the makeup artist at the time, he forgot that I was happening that day. So he didn't even have stuff for me. So he put Adina's stuff on me, and I looked like army green. I looked like pea soup. I looked crazy. And so I was so grateful that I had the forethought to say, hey, let me put this in the laptop or the computer. Let me email you these images because I have some, so you can really see what a bright, vibrant green looks like on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was never any question. Like the casting, they were always willing to see me in all kinds of ways. But I think as a Black woman, I'm always like, oh, do I need to put a wig on? Do I need to put, you know what I mean? What do I need to put on to kind of give them the vision? Because sometimes you have people who are just like, I don't think you could be a cop. It's like, yeah, you can.
So it sounds like Bernard Telsey knew you could be an Elphaba. They were behind you, but you did have the foresight to do your own makeup test.
I did. The same way that I would, when I was auditioning for things, because I'm coming off of that Aida era, which I had a TWA, like a teeny weeny afro. So I was just like, I don't need like people who just see my little afro and they're like, Elphaba has long hair, even though all their Elphabas everybody's wearing a wig. But for some reason they'll be like, can't have, you know what I mean? So I just needed to give them something so that they could really see the vision.
It's just really all about, being a smart actor and really advocating for yourself. Like you were advocating for yourself even when you were calling the casting director, and there's that weird calling the casting director and being annoying.
And then there's that, "Oh, you're cool." Right, right. There's a fine line.
If they're calling you, you kind of feel like, well, I can call them, you know.
Yeah, but there's a fine line, though. I crossed that line a little bit when, with the movie, the Double Play movie that I did with Ernest Dickerson. I was just coming off of doing Rita Marley, and I knew they was doing this movie on this woman and this family in the Caribbean. And so I went and found Ernest Dickerson's daughter's email address, and I sent an email to him. I sent one to the producer. I was extra. And the producer, she wrote me back. She was like, "Hey, thank you." I sent my clips, even though the agents were submitting. My agents were like, "Why did you do that?" But it worked out. It worked in my favor. There are times where you don't want to be extra. And there are times where it pays to do a little something extra to advocate for yourself. And I feel like that was one of those times. What's funny is, let's be real, while I was there in New York, this is the thing I never really say out loud. While I was there in New York, people didn't have the computer. The computers were just changing over. So people wanted a USB and they didn't have the thing. So I had to wait until I got home to put it in because I didn't bring my laptop with me so I could email them the image. So even while I was there, they looked at me. I sang with the muddy makeup on, in a bodysuit. I remember Adina Menzel and Tay Diggs at the time. They walked across the stage and they were like, "Oh, Black Alphabet." And I was like, Adina Menzel just walked by. Like, she's about to go do her matinee. You know what I mean? Like, it was just an everyday day for them. But for me, it was like, this day could change my life.
And how soon after that did you find out you had booked the role?
So, and let me also say, at the time, I was told they weren't sure if I was going to be the new Elphaba or the standby. It was going to be between the Elphaba and the standby. Shoshana Bean was the standby at the time. So I found out maybe a week later that they wanted to offer me the standby. And so at the time, Megan Hilty was the standby for Glenda. And so they moved me, helped pay for my moving stipend. And I stayed in Hell's Kitchen for about 6 weeks while I rehearsed and so I worked it out so that I didn't have to just get there and pound the pavement and try to find an apartment and all that stuff. So I had a little time.
How were you received by the director, by the company, like, as the first Black Elphaba?
I was well received, but the company was a majority white
Yeah.
cast. At the time, I want to say James Brown III and Asmaret Geber Mikhail were the two Black people in the whole show. And then there was a Latina girl, Io Alfonso, and there was maybe one of my good friends, Kristen Wee. Was she in the show at that time? There may have been one Asian person. Maybe there were 4 people of color in the whole production, you know?
Mhm.
I think I was well received. Sometimes there were eyes like, "Oh," I think people were just like, "Oh," not in a bad way, not in a good way, just like, I didn't know what I didn't know until I knew what I knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But eventually Ben Vereen came to do the show. And I think when Ben Vereen came is when I really realized how special it was.
The show itself
Know that I was doing it.
being Black in the show. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
And now at this point, they got full Japanese versions of the show, and they, and our amazing Caribbean queen of ABC and everything else, Cheryl Lee Ralph, darling, and Natasha Williams, with Madame Marble and all that. But I really enjoyed when Rue McClanahan came and Ben Vereen. Every time I've done these different shows, I would learn different things about like being how to be a Broadway star, how to be a diva, how to not be a diva, how to, in a good way or a bad way, whatever the connotation of that word is.
What was it like working with Ben Vereen?
Ben Vereen is very powerful, very magical. I swear he was back there. We've got magic
Yes.
to do. When he came, he wrote notes to us. He had this stationery. It said like from the desk of Ben Vereen, his stationery. It's so classy. And you come in his room and you could smell oils and incenses and things. He'd be like, "Come in." Like he really was the wizard, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was so cool when I was on and he was the wizard and
Yeah.
those scenes, doing the, wonderful, doing those dances with him. And he would stand on the side of the stage and say my name. He'd be like, "Saycon." He'd say it kind of little, "Saycon." During rehearsal, I rehearsed with him because I was a standby. As a standby, let's be real, like, it's not as glamorous, it's a lot of work, like, you're doing everything with everybody. I was rehearsing, I was doing promo events,
Mhm.
send me on a train. Sometimes they send me and Megan on a train up somewhere to go sing, be Elphaba and Glenda somewhere. We were doing all the Bryant Park, the this, the that, so I rehearsed. He learned the show with me, you know, and then he was doing the show with Shoshana, and Shoshana would sing her face off. But we never got a chance to hang out or anything like that. But woo, that girl, woo, she could sing. But I think I was well received by the cast.
Now, I've also heard people were worried about how you were gonna sing it, like Halle Bailey in, The Little Mermaid. Like, was there any of that?
It's funny. If there was, they wouldn't say it to my face. But they quickly learn, like, Shoshana is gonna give you 10 more runs than I will. Like, I'm not a runner, I'm not a running type of girl. You're not coming to me for all the runs. You coming to me for tone and belt and smoothness and sensuality.
And the tone is impeccable.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, I mean, as far as like what we would traditional think, like the R&Bing of Elphaba, I definitely was not coming in with a whole bunch of like extra melismas and things like that.
Yeah.
But I did have I guess there was be like a little whip, a little crackle that I would put on the end of things.
But you had a very, I think, musical theater take vocally, tonally.
Yeah, I did. That's how I heard it. I heard it very poppy. I heard it very pop. I didn't hear it like now. I would tell you, I always say that that song Elphaba and Fierro sing, "Kiss me too fiercely, hold me too tight. I need help believing you're with me tonight." I always felt like that was like Elphaba if Elphaba was Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Like something about something about that song. It's like poppy with a little R&B
Yeah. Yeah.
twinge, you know what I'm saying, on it. But each song has a different vibe too. But I think I definitely was probably more musical theater. Just pop.
Very, very.
I'm very fortunate. I say this all the time, and I need to change my IMDb um bio. Somewhere it says like I was in the new musicals, of the new era or whatever. And like I've not done ragtime. I've not done some remixed Oklahoma or anything like that. Like I was in Rent and Aida and Fela.
Mhm.
Like I really got a chance to do pop and hip hop and Motown. Like I was born at such the right time for my voice and for what I do. And I'll be completely real. I've never been, even when I was growing up in Atlanta, the kids that were singing with me alongside me in the theaters, some of these people could sing circles around me.
Mm.
Like they were, and I'm not being overly humble. Like I was surrounded by some amazing singers. So it was just like that thing. I feel like there was a part of like that Dina Jones of it all. Like I could bring everything that needs to come.
I mean, you're a total package. You have the voice, you are a wonderful actress, and you are also stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Oh,
You're beautiful. Yeah. Which, okay, I have a question for you. I was thinking about earlier today, um, remember a few years ago, Viola Davis, there was something about her not being traditionally beautiful, which I think that Viola Davis is absolutely gorgeous, stunning. I do think that she is traditionally beautiful. And she's a black woman. She's a woman in dark skin.
mhm,
You are a woman in dark
mhm.
skin. And do you do you feel like that having dark skin has ever held you back?
When I was younger, I didn't think so, which I think helped me
Mm,
because I just, I wonder, I had this conversation. Jakina Kalakango?
no. I mean,
She,
I know who she is, but I
you
don't
don't
know
know her
her.
personally.
Yeah.
Jakina, who also went to the same high school as I'll never forget, we were talking about colorism. And I remember, that I was kind of like, it's what you make it and blah, blah, blah. And Jakina was like, girl, no, it's colorism. You know what I mean? I wonder if she would even remember this conversation. But years later, I was like, wait, she was right. And I was just coming from my own experience. I've had this experience, this record breaking experience, where in my experience, my color didn't matter. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Um, Now that I'm more mature, I can see how it helps to not put a lot of energy into that. is what I'm saying.
Right.
It's a thing, but I can either worry about that thing or worry about getting these lines down and worry about seducing the casting people or the seducing
Mhm.
the audience, or like I can either worry about, oh, they're gonna think I'm too fat, they're gonna think I'm too dark. There's like a magic that I feel inside of myself. There's a magic that's in Viola. There's a magic Jakina. There's a magic that when somebody got a taste for it, they just got a taste for it and they can't even deny it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I've been in rooms where I was amongst I was just at a party and here I am with my locks, and I'm always aware when there are people who are like surprised that I'm confident or something because they have so many have a lot of
Mhm.
hangups about whatever they think. They think I'm not supposed to like my natural hair, or they think I'm not,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And it's like, baby, for some people, this just is what it is. Like people, like I know that I am somebody's taste.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I know it like repeatedly. I have been during like even I finally booked after multiple pilots throughout my career. I finally booked a TV series post pandemic. I'm fatter than I've ever been. And now here I am cast as the leading lady on a whole ass TV show. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like that's when I really was like, not saying that I shouldn't work out or that I shouldn't take care of myself, but I was like, wow, like if it's for me and if it's like, there are people who I'm just their taste. They just want a thick chocolate girl with kinky hair. That's just what they want. You know what I mean? And when I would see people like, so this is why I always have my chocolate heroes, Lauryn Hill, Cheryl Lee Ralph, you know, Heather Headley. Like Heather
Mhm.
had that teeny weeny afro and that big smile, those big teeth. Diana Ross with her big teeth. See her big teeth and her big eyes, and she's skinny. She was so skinny in an era where everybody's wearing like girdles and padded bras, and Diana was just that was somebody's taste. Like when you know that you're somebody's taste, somebody's type, it don't matter. Like I did a video on YouTube long time ago about being a mango. I was just like, I'm just a mango, right? So I go to auditions. Sometimes they're looking for bananas. I go on audition. It's like banana, banana, banana. Me, I'm a mango. Banana, 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 banana. Right? I'm always a mango, right? So when I show up, I'm not trying to be a banana. Like I'm just a juicy mango, right? So when the people are watching me, they're like, where does mango come from? They may not cast me in the banana call, but they called me back because they like, ooh, we need that mango now. You know what I mean? So I just always show up knowing that I am a juicy mango. I just show up and I just am who I am. You know what I mean? And I think it's the same with Viola. Like, if not more, Viola really knows innately that she is desired and that she's wanted. Even if she grew, I've seen interviews where she talked about different things as a child and a lot of things that she went through. But I think somewhere, even despite and throughout all that, something in her, she just knew like her gift was brighter and shinier than any prejudice that she could experience. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
her gift is ready for the world to this day. Like I'll take Nene Leakes on Housewives of Atlanta. She's like one of the tallest women on the show. She just bloop, like just little things she would do. She just shines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She just
Mhm.
shines.
Yeah.
Take Candy. Candy's probably one of the most petite people on the show. Like,
Mhm.
you don't have to either one of them, they don't have to be the perfect average height. She didn't have to be, she's too tall or, oh, she's too short. They just had a special thing about them to make them shine.
Yeah.
And I think once you realize that about yourself, then you just win. Because like Biggie Smalls, black and ugly as ever. However, I stayed Coogee down to the socks. Like with Biggie Smalls as a rapper being this big, huge guy and like just that confidence,
Mhm.
it's next level. So that's the thing I try to work on is keeping my confidence. I do have my imposter syndrome that pops in from time to time when I'm in big fancy rooms where I'm the shiniest person in the room, surrounded by a bunch of people who have a whole lot of money, but they're all like,
Mhm.
who are you? And where are you from? They're all curious about me, little
Yeah.
old me. That's an interesting conundrum for a black entertainer.
It sounds like you were initially you had sort of blinders on about being a dark skinned woman and what that meant in the world. Like how the world perceived you because you are beautiful, and I'm sure like you've always been treated like a beautiful person. And then you grew up in Atlanta, which is such a black city.
Atlanta people love, yeah, they love, they love. But I'll tell you something interesting. When I did Celie in The Color Purple, it really solidified some things for me. Because I'm gonna tell you this about Celie, just as a character. Celie is in a world where everybody's telling her, "You ugly, you this, you that." But every time they want her biscuits, they want her stuff, like they want her to clean their house. "Oh, clean my house." She make the house so nice. They want her to raise their children. "Raise my children." So it was like, ain't no way I'm the lowest of the low if you need me this bad. You need everything I got. That's the thing that I felt about Celie. It's like when I played Celie, it's like every time you walk in a room, somebody telling you you weak or whatever, but then they like, "Make me a dress." So I'm doing fashion. I'm cooking for you. I'm feeding your children. I got your house together. Your house was a hot mess till I got here. But I'm supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be the person who ain't worth nothing, but everything I do brings your life better. Once I realized that, I said, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a trick bag so that they can use you.
And that I think is the story of black women in America.
Yes.
It is the story of black women in America.
Yes.
The most disrespected, and yet the skills that black women possess are always in demand and always sought after, always underpaid, unfortunately.
But so wanted and so needed and so sought after. And I layered it on with playing Elphaba too, being this green girl in the middle of everybody's like, "Ew," but then they're like, "Ooh, you did magic." You know what I mean? Like they're like, "It look like whatever," but then they're like, "But then you did your dance, and now everybody at the party want to dance like you." You know what I mean? Like it's something about that, and that's when like that's like even not to get too political, but with things being how they are, I was having more recent thoughts about because I'm feeling a lot of sadness and depression and just different feelings about the current state of things. But just realizing, like, all in all, we will prevail, because we always do. Like the magic, the melanin, the awesomeness, it can't be denied. It can't be denied. So, like, that's what we see when we see Viola and Angela, the magic, it can't be denied.
I agree. We will prevail, we will persevere, and we will come out victorious because we always do.
Yes, because we always do.
All right. This has been so wonderful. I'm going to wrap it up with some fun questions.
Okay.
I often make the mistake with shows of saying, "Oh, I'll see that later." And then I miss seeing it because it closes. For example, sadly, I did not see Eclipsed. So, if you could go back in time and see a show you missed, what would that show be? And it can be a show that, even before you were born.
Well, I would love to have seen a live LaChance in as T Moon in Once on This Island. And Once on This Island is always that show. I have a troubled past with that show because all the colorism stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like ugh, with that show. But LaChance is so vivacious, and her smile and her energy. She's another one of those. It's like you just can't deny it.
You cannot deny how absolutely stunning and talented that woman is. She is effervescent.
She is. She is like a sun. If the sunshine walked into the room, sunshine. She is. So to see LaChance, and I got to do Color Purple with LaChance. LaChance was the original Celie. And to be Nettie to her Celie, and to be just looking up in her face every day, I loved my job. Just looking up in LaChance's face, LaChance smiling at me and just loved my job. So to see LaChance, that would've been wonderful. So more recently, Joshua Boone was in The Outsiders, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't see it. Is it still playing on Broadway? I don't know, but I didn't see it.
It's still playing.
Okay, I didn't see it before he left. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't. I really want to see him in that show. He's a wonderful actor. He doesn't have social media, but he's in some of everything. He was also on Holly If You Hear Me,
Okay.
which is where I met him. And he's such a good actor. So that's a current show that I'm like, but yeah, Once on This Island with LaChance. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Audra. I would love to have seen Audra in Ragtime. James Earl Jones in Fences. You know, I always watch those clips. I think I watched that's the first time I ever went to the library. What's that library? You know, you can go to the library and you could watch
Oh,
the
the Lincoln Center
Lincoln
Library.
Center.
Yeah.
First time I ever it was a date. I had a date. Take me to Lincoln Center and we're gonna watch. And so we watched Fences.
That is a very charming date.
It was a very charming date. Yeah, very charming date. I went to watch Fences, so I got to see James Earl Jones and his bombastic voice. Oh, and anything with Paul Robeson. Yeah. Yeah. As far as theater, that's as far as theater goes.
Yeah, I went to Lincoln Center last year because I choreographed the production of Pippin at Syracuse
Oh,
University.
we got
I
magic
went
to do.
Yes, I went to watch,
You playing that role.
I would love to play that role. I would
Yes.
so love to play that
Yeah.
role, and I went to watch the Ben Vereen, version at Lincoln Center,
Mhm.
and I watched that one and the revival with Patina.
Yes,
Yeah,
Patina.
to study it.
Yes.
Okay, if I were gonna go back in time, I would want to see the original Dreamgirls. That's my answer. I would wanna see the original Dreamgirls.
Okay, I'm adding that to my list. I would wanna yeah, I would wanna see that as well. Oh my god, Loretta Devine, Shirley Ralph, Jennifer Holliday. Actually, that movie I did, the Funny Valentines, it was starring Loretta Devine and Alfre Woodard as these 2 sisters who grew up and didn't know they were sisters. And I played the young version of Loretta Devine whenever they did the flashbacks. Yeah.
Wow, incredible. Okay, so working in the theater I feel like it can be a love-hate relationship, right? It can be a love-hate relationship. There's a lot of things you love, and there's those things you hate and you complain about. And for you, what is the thing that you don't like about it? What's your hot take about theater?
I can say this very quickly. It's like birthday cake, right? You love birthday cake, but you don't like it every day. You might even eat birthday cake 3 days in a row, but you don't wanna eat cake every day. It's the 8 shows a week, like, whew, you can have an amazing show, the show can be so good, but, like, I feel like naturally you wanna do 6 shows. That 8
Yes. It's abusive. Those extra 2 shows are abusive.
and then what's interesting too is seeing how whenever, like, stars get a certain place, they can do 6. So
Yeah, they'll hire an extra whoever the character is to do the matinees.
yes, that's how I was. When I did Aida, I was the matinee Aida. They were like, "Aida starring Tony Braxton with Saycon Sengbloh on Tuesdays and Sunday nights." Like, I was the Tuesday and Sunday night Aida. You call it Sunday night. And it was nice because she had to set up she would get a nice little weekend because I would do the Sunday night and the Tuesday.
My hot take is I think choreographers should be paid more because
I don't fully know how well or not well they're paid.
they're paid well. They are paid well. I just think they should be paid a little bit more. They're paid comparable to the director. I just think it should be more because the director has the script. They have the script to work with. The musical director has the
Score, whatever, yeah.
score. The choreographer just has to come and make it up on the spot. And I think that is a hard job. So I think that choreographers deserve a little more money.
I agree with you on that. I had never even thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Like they're not putting to life something that's already written. They are freshly from their mind creating something inspired by what was written. But wow.
Yeah, inspired by what's written, inspired by what's been composed, but they are having to create the thing sort of right there on the spot.
Right there on the spot.
And obviously you do like some workshopping before you get to
Yeah, yeah.
the production. You do a whole lot of pre-production, but but oftentimes things have to change in the moment and you got to come up with it.
Wow. I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Choreographers should absolutely be paid more.
Okay, the show is called Dark Mondays. What do you do on your Dark Monday when you're in a show?
Let me tell you this, to this day, and I did do a play earlier this year. I was gonna say I've been doing TV, but I did do a play January through April. I did a play at La Jolla Playhouse called 3 Summers of Lincoln, which hopefully will come to Broadway. And so Mondays, Dark Mondays is like laundry day. It's a day to go do something fun. and go eat something really good, have a nice meal or a nice dinner, or go do something fun if it's happening on a Monday. It's hard because things aren't always happening on a Monday. So to sneak off and fly somewhere and try to fly back Sunday night, try to fly somewhere and be back Monday night or be back Tuesday night. What about you? What do you do on dark Mondays?
It's like running errands, taking care of chores, depending on the show, sometimes I loved when I was doing Equus, we did Sunday. I think we had 2 shows, but then we had Monday and Tuesday off.
That's nice. I think Color Purple did that for a while, but that weekend was hard.
It was hard. So then you would come back with 2 shows on the Wednesday. So then you can easily fly out of town if you need to.
What's Harry Potter? He was in
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe, and
Right.
also one of my Felas,
Adesla,
Joshua.
one of
Yeah,
my
both of them were in
favorite.
that. So yes, you
Yeah.
were in that. Yeah.
I was the standby for all the horses.
Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
That's another one that I didn't get to see. I hate I didn't see that show.
yeah. And Adesla was one of the horses, but he also played the lead horse. He was the understudy for the lead horse.
Did Lincoln Center come and record that show?
I don't know.
How does that work now in this era? Do you have to get a thing online and watch it? I can't imagine they're letting you gotta come, or do you still gotta go physically go there to
You
watch
still have to
something?
I think you still have to go to Lincoln Center and watch. Yeah. Yeah, because actually when I came back last year to watch Pippin, I was already up at Syracuse, and I
Um,
literally came back on my day off I made an appointment on the day off and flew back
to
to
watch.
watch, yeah.
Okay.
But Adesla, while we were doing Equus, he was working on Fela.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
in the dressing room, always in the accent. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Cause when he was in the Fela that I was in, he was an understudy. I did like a run through rehearsal with him. He maybe went on like one time while we were on Broadway
Mhm.
originally, but then when it came back and when it toured, because it came back to Broadway, he did it and then he also toured with it and he ended up doing it multiple times. But yeah.
I saw you guys on Broadway, and then when he did the tour, I went out to Philly to see him do Fela out there. Yeah, it was fun. He was amazing. He was so amazing.
Okay. The story I want story about how things. I still got my What to No Get Enemy picture in my dining room right there. Maybe. Oh my God. Classic.
Such a great show, such a great show.
Mhm.
Saycon, thank you so much for taking this time. Thank you so much. This has been incredible to connect like this. Before I let you go, what's coming up next for you?
Coming up next, I have a Christmas movie, independent movie that I shot with a really good friend of mine. She and her husband produced it. It's called Vera's Holiday Flop. You know those good little TV holiday movies that we shot. We shot it a year ago, but they finally got picked up. It's going to be on BET this fall, this Christmas or fall. I don't know when it's coming out. She literally just announced it to our thread. We have a little thread, so I'm sure by the time this airs, it's fine to talk about it. But Vera's Holiday is going to be on BET, so I have that. And currently, I have a movie that's in theaters and also available anywhere where people stream. You can rent it or purchase it. It is called Love Brooklyn, and it's with Andre Holland, DeWanda Wise, Nicole Bahari. It's a sexy little love story. I bring a little comedic relief.
Yeah, I saw that on your IMDb and I was like, "Oh, this looks good."
It's good. It's good. It's a good little movie. We had a nice they had a screening, nice premiere, mini premiere here in Atlanta, which my niece and my little cousin went with me, my aunt, and I had such a wonderful time. It was nice because we shot that during the strike. And and people, please stream all 32 episodes of The Wonder Years. Please go and stream that on Hulu and follow me at Saycon Sengbloh. I'm on TikTok. I'm on everything. I'm on everything. Say Sing on Snapchat, but mostly you see me mostly on Instagram. But check me out. I'm on Facebook. I'm on everything. So social media, follow me and check out my podcast, which is called Saycon Talks. It's everywhere that podcasts are streaming, and you can also watch video interviews on YouTube. Saycon Talks, and I have a special little section I'll be doing called Black Goes Good with Green. So you can check that out and learn a little bit more about my story with Wicked and all of that. So thank you so much for having me on here.
Wow, Saycon is truly the magic that cannot be denied. Brains, beauty, talent, and such a warm, generous, genuine spirit. Listening back, I wondered if Saycon had known those scandal scenes were with Kerry Washington and Tony Goldwyn, if the pressure would have gotten in the way. Much in the way I wonder how I would have handled it if I'd known my Shrek audition was the final callback. I remember feeling super confident and relaxed. Also, the choreographer of Shrek the Musical is Josh Prince. Sorry, Josh. And Saycon's Mango story and the realization about the power the character Seeley truly possessed and Elphaba, despite what the world around them was telling them about themselves, powerful. It's a reminder that you are powerful and you are worthy. Thank you, Saycon. And that's the show. Thank you so much for joining me. This episode of Dark Mondays with Kevin Bozeman was conceived, written, and produced by me. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a 5-star review and leave a comment. Dark Mondays with Kevin Bozeman can be found everywhere podcasts are found. Please do share the podcast, share the socials. That's Dark Mondays Pod on both Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Kevin Bozeman on Instagram and at Kevin_Bozeman on TikTok. Have a wonderful week. Happy holidays. See some theater, and I'll see you back here, not next Monday, but the Monday after that. So also, Happy New Year.